My name's Valentine. I'm an ex-player of the Vancouver Whitecaps, originally from England. Got my Canadian citizenship and played for Canada in the World Cup in 1986.
What prompted you to go from England to Canada?
Yeah, it's an interesting story.
Okay, sure.
Basically, I was sold and said they've agreed a deal with the Vancouver Whitecaps. I think it was then around £100,000. I didn't know where Vancouver was in the sense of no internet. So I had to go and get a map. I knew where Canada was, see where Vancouver was, and I didn't know anyone here. But obviously the manager, Tony Waders, did a good sales job, and I'm glad he did, and convinced me to come to Vancouver.
Wow, that's an interesting story. I did not know that you were bought and came over.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone here, so it was a big step. And you know, now being a club ambassador is kind of great because when I came over, I was only 20. I was still living at home, and I don't remember really feeling homesick. I love Vancouver. The people really looked after me as a young 20-year-old, and obviously I fit in with the team early and just fell in love with Vancouver.
Yeah, that's so amazing for someone who's not born here to be everyone's fan favorite. How did that evolve?
I always remember I'd come across a bio that was done on myself when I was 20 years of age, and it said, how do you want to remember when you retire? And obviously I was a long way from retiring at 20, but I was surprised and glad at the answer I'd given, because I'd put in that I wanted to be known as the hardest working player on the back. Even though someone would suggest I was skillful, which I don't think I was, I worked hard, and I always tried to entertain the crowd and the fans and become, I think the only trophy I display is the most popular player, which I won twice in Vancouver's history.
Do you think nature nurture, like, to your success?
Yeah, I mean, I put it down to my parents and stuff. Even though I left when I was 20, I wasn't seeing them day to day. They obviously instilled good values. One was working hard. My dad was a welder for many years. My mum worked most of her life. Even though they brought up 5 kids, myself and 4 sisters, they instilled good work ethic. And I think when you have them, you can have all the natural ability you want, but if you don't combine that with hard work, then it can definitely get lost. That's something I've always prided myself on, something that's really come natural to me to work hard. And when I've done that, good things have happened.
How do you do that day in, day out? Because some days are good, some days are bad, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. The daily tasks that you have can sometimes become overwhelming unless you have them daily habits. This is what I do every day. And it can be from the little things of, I've got to take something up the stairs. I remember as a kid, when my mum and dad, I'd got something upstairs, he said, oh, you've got to go and put that away. It'd be like, oh, as though it was a big task. But I did it because I had to do it. And now, if I have to do little tasks like that, it's not a hardship, it's just something that you do. And I think from that, it's like you build a foundation and then you build it brick by brick, and it's something that's instilled life skills day in and day out.
Okay, I see. So you're just doing it and it gets ingrained.
Yeah, people can tell you to work hard. Yeah. People can show you clips, can show you athletes and say, look, if you work hard, this is what you've got to achieve. But it's got to be something that is instilled in you, you know, because as you say, sometimes, you know, there's peaks and valleys. Sometimes it can get tough. But if you have that work ethic instilled in you, then most of the time you can overcome almost anything.
And you must have seen thousands of athletes come and go. Some make it to this level that you made it to, and some don't. Is there some common theme of ones that you like, this guy might have a shot?
Oh, 100%. I used to coach in our academy in 13, 14, 15-year-old boys. And I felt bad for them in a sense of, I know what was instilled in me at that age, the hunger and the drive to achieve the things that I want, where you look at some of the kids in that generation where sometimes, I even did it with my kids, sometimes you overparent instead of letting them fix the situation and do it. It's fixed for them and it doesn't help them. There's been a lot of kids that I've seen with more talent than me, but It's hard work and sacrifice. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because there's no shortcuts to that. So if you're not willing to put the work in, if you're not willing to make the little sacrifices you need, whatever that is, you're not going to do it. I remember a coach telling me after an off season that I needed to lose some pounds. I can't remember how much it was. And I used to drink tea with 2 sugars.
Yeah.
I started drinking tea with no sugar.
Just right.
And I've never gone back to it. So when I look at that, that's a little thing that people will say, well, that's no big deal. But from 14 till 21, 22, I drank tea with 2 sugars until I was told I needed to lose weight. Now, I knew I needed to do some exercise and eat a little bit better, but those are some of the sacrifices that you need to make.
And so you made that pretty quickly?
Yeah, the next day.
Wow.
I stopped. And I remember drinking tea with no sugar when I first did. It was like, oh, but I did it. And now I can't take any sugar in my tea.
This kind of comes back to your comment of when you came over from England to Vancouver, you're 20 years old. An interview, you said hard work as the answer. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, and I just think when I also coached on the North Shore as a head coach and put a program in place. And the program I put in place was A and B teams, no tryouts, but putting programs in where you're being looked at all the time. What I mean by that is when those kids came to train, when they played in games, what I was trying to get them to understand, every time you train, every time you play a game, somebody's watching you. So if you come in and you don't feel good and you take that day off and somebody comes to watch you, you may lose an opportunity. So I know you can't do your maximum every game, but if they had that thought in their minds that every day I train, every day I play, somebody's watching me, this might be my opportunity, then it kind of instills that drive in them to not look for shortcuts, but to maximize everything they do every day.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of athletes talk about how sports can really help you in life skills, and it can, because there's lots of peaks and valleys. But, you know, in sport, you can have successes, you can be successful, but then the next game comes or the next season comes, it doesn't matter. You could have won 3 straight championships and you come in and you don't do well. The next year, if you're a coach, if you're a player, you could be sold or you could get fired. So it's instilling, you know, those moments, those life learning skills every day. If we're going to do something important in our lives where we don't feel like we do it, then cheers, Spike. You might not be ready for that moment, right? So it's all, you know, it teaches us to be ready for moments as well.
My dad's a big fan, and he wrote down a couple questions. He'll kill me if I don't ask you a couple of these while I have you, and thanks for your time.
No problem.
Rookie 1979 Soccer Bowl Championship.
That was my first year, so it was interesting as well because I come and there was a number of players that I watched, because in England, when you're a kid, you want to be a professional soccer player. So the Willie Johnsons, Trevor Wymack, these players I'd watched as a kid. They were 10 years older than me. I was 20, they were 30. So I'd watch them and all of a sudden I'm playing with them. And because I was a young player, I was on the bench and then come in. 10 minutes into the game, there was an injury or sending off. I got thrown into the mix.
Holy.
So I think that thing by preparing yourself to be ready, because I didn't know I was going to get thrown in for 10 minutes. And if I get thrown in and I'm not ready, I might not get another chance for 5, 6, 7, 8 games. But I was ready. I had a great game. I stayed in the team for 17 games. And then they brought a very important player, Alan Ball, that come in. I got dropped again. 2 games after that, I got thrown back in and I was ready. And I stayed in the team till we won the championship, the Soccer Bowl.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely about being ready and, you know, being brave enough to take the opportunities, right?
Yeah, like you said, that preparation phase, always being ready every day, that helped you in that moment get through that and stay on, you think?
I think so, because you know, if we were to say, okay, I've got to give advice to this athlete, like, hey, you got to work harder to get what you want, it's probably too late. If I'm telling you and you don't understand that, if it's not instilled in you, you know, it doesn't mean you have to run the farthest or run the hardest. but you have to maximize yourself to get everything out of what you can on that day.
Would you say your edge was the speed plus coordination?
Funny story I'll tell you before I tell you that answer. When I was getting noticed in Vancouver, somebody came up to me and says, "Oh, you're Carl Valentine, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You've only got 2 moves, haven't you?"
Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm older. I could have just said, "What's my second one?" But when he said that, I wasn't sure if it was a compliment or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was actually probably right, because I wasn't this tricky step over skilled player. I was fast and I knew how to use them speed. So I probably only did have 2 moves, but they worked. In the game, my thoughts weren't, okay, I'm going to go entertain the crowd. I'm going to go and do this. My thoughts is, nobody on the field is going to outwork me. And if nobody's on the field is going to outwork me, good things are going to happen. Because to be honest, when I had the ball, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. So I thought, if I don't know what I'm doing it, the defender's got no chance of knowing what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So, you know, basic theories like that, but I always went out on the field and not to be outworked.
No, that's a great mentality to have, because you don't want to be consumed by uncontrollable variables.
Yeah.
But this you can control. Last question, World Cup Canada. What did my dad mean by that?
So I got my citizenship in '84. I went back to England to play. I was asked to play in the '84 Olympics.
Okay, yeah.
I said no, which we went on to play Brazil in the quarterfinals and lost on penalty kicks. Bad decision. And then in '85, we were qualifying for the '86 World Cup.
Yeah.
They played 12, 13 games. I never got called up. And the last game against Honduras in St. John's, Newfoundland, they had to win a tie. And they had a whole bunch of injuries. So the manager called me up to play in that game.
Okay.
I was a bit scared because I didn't know how everyone would look at me, because I'd turned Canada down once. I was coming in for the final game. But of course, they didn't care, because if we won, we're going to the World Cup. So I played in that. Honduras, St. John's, Newfoundland. We had a completely Canadian crowd because the Hondurans went to the wrong St. John's.
No.
Yes. So we had a pro-Canada crowd, and I assisted on both goals.
Wow.
And we won 2-1.
Holy, what a story.
And then I got to play with Canada the first time Canada qualified in the 1986 World Cup.
Then, was there any interesting or cool moments in that World Cup itself?
Well, just the first game, because we played France, who was the favourites.
Yeah.
They were. We played obviously as best as we could. They were the better team. We had them tied with 10 minutes to go, and they scored.
Okay.
But Michael Platini, who's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player at that time, did a press conference and said, "Oh, are you disappointed you only beat Canada 1-0? And he said, "No." He said, "We are happy that we got the result."
Yeah.
Because we knew it was going to be tough, maybe our hardest game, and we're just glad to get the win.
Yeah.
And that was France, one of the tournaments, and we lost 1-0.
Yeah.
I think they lost in the semi-finals that time, but
yeah,
they were one of the favourites to win it.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for your time, Carl.
Hey, thank you.
And you know what? I'm glad the Whitecaps bought you.
Oh, me too.
So many years ago, and so many millions of Canadians are happy about that too.
I know, and it was interesting because 2 years later, I'm a Man United fan, but Man City came in and they offered 200,000 to take me back, and Tony Wade said no.
Okay.
Thankfully.
Wow, what a story.
Thankfully.